I like camcorders. I use them to record all of my videos because recording video on a smartphone, DSLR, or action cam has just never looked or felt right to me. And I'm glad to see camcorders are making somewhat of a comeback lately, especially among people who are too young to have used them back during their heyday in the 90s and 2000s. Whether it's the impressive physical aesthetic of a camcorder like this Sony DCR TRV-900 from 1998, or the somewhat warm and fuzzy appearance of standard definition video, reminiscent of the pops and crackles of vinyl records or the hiss of cassette tapes, there definitely is something about them that many people find appealing. And I think most people know that for the best results, you should stick with one of the four major brands of camcorders: Sony, Canon, JVC, and Panasonic. Other brands like Samsung and Hitachi did make some pretty good camcorders, but with the big four, it'll be easier to find parts like batteries, chargers, and cables, as well as scans of the original owner's manual, information on common repairs and maintenance, and helpful advice from other people who own the same model. However, when you're shopping for these brands of vintage camcorders on eBay, there's something you need to watch out for that you might not expect: fake camcorders. Of course, counterfeit goods have existed long before digital camcorders. In the photography world, it goes back to 1982 when the New Taiwan Photographic Corporation began manufacturing cheap plastic 35mm film cameras that were made to look similar to much more expensive SLR cameras. These were sold under bogus Japanese-sounding brand names that were often deliberately similar to well-known names of camera manufacturers. Or sometimes they would just outright copy a real brand name and try to pass it off as one of their products. This trend continued with digital cameras and camcorders in the 2000s, again sometimes using made-up Japanese-sounding names, but usually copying real brand names. Sony was by far the most common brand to be put on these counterfeit camcorders, but you'll also see them copying other popular brands like Canon, JVC, and Panasonic. Or sometimes you'll see them with just a blank space where the badge would go, either because it was put on so cheaply that it fell off, or the original owner realized it was a fake and pried it off. Next to the fake brand name is often a fake Made in Japan sticker, and you'll also sometimes see a fake price sticker listing a highly inflated price like $799 to make the unsuspecting consumer feel like that they were getting a bargain when in fact they were getting ripped off. These fake camcorders would also often copy the name of a recording format used by real camcorders of the time, such as Mini-DV, DVD, and DV-Cam, even though they don't actually use any of these formats. And here's an example of a fake DVD camcorder. This one is a Mitsuba DV9002, but I've also seen this model with a fake Sony sticker on it. I did a full review and test of this years ago, but now I actually have some real DVD camcorders to compare it to. And at first glance it doesn't look too bad. It has a nice sized lens on it. You get a nice hand strap. There's the DVD compartment. You get your zoom lever and a viewfinder and a rechargeable lithium-ion battery and a flip-out LCD. So it has all the same features you would expect from a real DVD camcorder, such as these ones by Sony. Except, appearances are deceiving. This camcorder isn't even turned on, and you can see a color image in there because there's no electronics in there. What you see through that viewfinder is just a hole looking through this fake lens. The actual lens is this pinhole down here. But even more deceivingly, this doesn't actually record onto DVDs, even though it has this compartment which you can open up and put in one of these mini 3-inch recordable DVDs and close the door. But that is entirely fake. You notice instead of DVD, it says DVC, because this actually records onto either a very small amount of built-in memory, good for recording about 1 minute of video, or onto SD cards. It does not record onto DVDs. Helpfully, in the original package, they did include an SD card, but that's fake as well. It says this camera has 32 megabytes internal memory. Additional memory card purchased must same size as this sample. So they're calling it a sample, but I call it fake. And ironically, if you compare it to a real DVD camcorder, the fake disc mechanism on the Mitsuba is quite a bit larger than the real disc mechanism on the Sony. And also the fake DVD camcorder feels slightly heavier than the real one. But that's because they put a big block of metal in this one to weigh it down and make it feel heavier than it really is. The model numbers of these fake camcorders usually begin with some variation of DV, DVX, or MX, such as DV7000, DDV7000, DDV335, DVX801, MX30, or MX7000. But you'll also often find the HDEXPS and TEC04D8. Or sometimes they would just outright copy the model number of a real Sony camcorder, such as the DCR PC350 or DCR HC90. And once in a while, they couldn't even make up their mind about which brand of camcorder they were supposed to be copying, such as this one, which was branded as Sony on the camera itself, but came with a Canon remote control. Back in the mid-2000s, JVC published an official warning about these counterfeit camcorders, making it clear that they are not genuine JVC products and they have no connection whatsoever with JVC. They said these products are mainly sold in Spain and the Canary Islands, mainly to tourists, but they have also been available on some internet auction sites. Here's the testimonial of one person who was suckered into paying almost 250 euros for a fake camcorder in Tenerife. He said after he got home it only worked for a couple of hours and didn't work again. Sony also published a warning about fake handycams back in 2005. They said a number of counterfeit handycams are being offered for sale on eBay's UK site, a number of other retail websites, and a small number of street traders in the Glasgow area, but possibly elsewhere too. Unfortunately, despite these warnings, these fake camcorders are still all over eBay almost 20 years later, and the sad thing is people are actually bidding on and buying them. I've tried sending messages to the eBay sellers of these fake camcorders, letting them know that they are counterfeit products. About half of them never responded to me, but among the half which did, the reactions have ranged from thanking me and immediately removing the listing to complete denial and righteous indignation. My favorite response was one seller who said, "I know it's not fake because it was my grandma's." Unfortunately, her grandma was exactly the kind of non-tech savvy person the vendors of these fake camcorders were targeting with their scam. If you do fall victim to one of these fake camcorders, at first glance it may not seem so bad because you can see the image on the LCD, you can zoom in and out, and you can record and play back video. But you definitely won't be impressed by the video quality because, as you can expect, they lie about that as well. And it has this big sticker on the top saying high definition video recorder, and again on the side HD high definition video recorder. But does this look like high definition to you? I don't think so. First of all, it's not in widescreen, and the actual resolution this thing records at is 640 by 480 at a weird 27 frames per second. It has 8 times digital zoom, not optical, and no image stabilization, and whatever audio sampling rate it's using is clearly not enough. It looks and sounds like a cell phone video from the early 2000s, probably because it's based on the same hardware as one. Now let me switch over to this real Sony DVD camcorder and show you what its video quality looks like. Now here's the real Sony DVD camcorder. Even though it's only standard definition, I'll think you'll agree with me that this is a far superior video to watch, and especially listen to, because it has high fidelity stereo sound. It also has true optical zoom, with steady shot image stabilization, widescreen aspect ratio. Overall, a much better video and audio quality recording than this fake DVD camcorder. And in case you're wondering what was the real camcorder that all of those fake DV7000 type camcorders were imitating the design of, it was the Canon Allura 40MC, a mini DV tape camcorder from 2002. And today, new fake camcorders are more common than ever, except instead of pretending to be brands they're not, they've now licensed the names of defunct camera manufacturers like Minolta and Vivitar, and put them on cheap camcorders that claim to be 4K resolution, but actually have worse video quality than a good 1080i HD camcorder from 15 years ago. Or they continue the trend of making up bogus brand names, bundling the camera with a lot of attachments to try to make it look more professional, and imitating the appearance of real camcorders from brands like Sony and Canon. So regardless if it's new or vintage, do your research and make sure the product you're considering buying is legitimate. For example, Sony has an excellent support website where you can find documentation for virtually every camcorder they ever made. Also, try to find test footage from the make and model of camcorder you're considering buying, so you can get an idea of the kind of video quality you can expect from it and how it compares to other models you're considering. And regardless of which camcorder you use, make sure you learn how to properly import, edit, and render your footage, because nobody wants to watch non-deinterlaced 4x3 video stretched out to widescreen with audio only in one channel.